Hi, I'm Richard Meng, Senior Software Engineer at Snowflake. Now we know 2023 was the year that changed everything in AI. Large language models, known as LLMs, exploded into our consciousness. They understand natural language, they're capable of human-like reasoning, they're changing society, and they're changing technology. They're remaking our jobs. The flip side is that leveraging AI lets us do amazing things. And we can use AI to power up coworkers too. And guess what? Snowflake is an amazing place to work with LLMs. In this talk, we'll build an LLM-powered app in Snowflake while taking a whirlwind tour through many of the technologies we're bringing to Snowflake to unlock LLM-powered apps in your company. We'll start with Snowflake with its world-class security and governance. We'll add Streamlit, a library that lets you build powerful UIs in Python easily. In fact, Streamlit has become a hub of activity in the LLM space. With over 6,000 LLM-related apps in the Streamlit community cloud, and it's growing rapidly. Snowflake has also integrated with Streamlit into a first-class experience. And this includes an amazing new chat functionality, the Chat UI, which just launched yesterday in the keynote demo. Snowflake is also integrating with LangChain in Snowpark. LangChain is an amazing new open source library for programming the thoughts of an LLM. We're also adding support for embeddings and vector search as a function. We also give you a huge number of options to connect commercial and open source LLMs. In this talk, we'll demonstrate one such way of communicating with LLMs using external access. It is a new feature launched in public preview in August at Snowflake. But, of course, you can also bring third-party LLMs inside your Snowflake account by installing them as native apps in the marketplace. The final ingredient, of course, is always your private data. This will allow you to build LLM-powered applications which are truly customized to your needs. Streamlit, LangChain, vector search, large language models, plus your private data. We are seeing the emergence of a powerful set of building blocks to develop custom LLM-powered apps. This is an amazing place to be taking advantage of this new technology. In this talk, we'll build a chatbot that can understand human-like questions, reason how to respond, refine inputs conversationally, perform SQL queries, create custom visualizations, and the most important, it is going to be fully programmable by you. This is not a product announcement. It's a tutorial, and we're going to build it right now, live on stage, with only 39 lines of Python code. Let's start with an example business scenario. Suppose that you're a data scientist working at Banco, and the recruiting team wants to find candidates for fraud detection group. And they are asking us a series of deep questions, like which 20 companies most frequently mention fraud detection in job listings? Or which US state have the most job listings related to fraud detection? Each question requires us to write a very complex SQL query, and then complex visualizations to share the results. Sometimes the SQL query isn't quite right, or the visuals don't capture what we're looking for. And each question leads to more questions, and more and more. An endless and increasingly urgent series of problems. Actually, this is an opportunity to bring LLMs into the equation. Think about it. What if instead of creating one-off analysis, we simplified the whole process and gave our stakeholders a simple LLM-powered chat interface? Now, recruiting can answer their own questions or even refine answers as they see fit. And we can focus on thinking about even higher level questions. Or just kick back and drink Mai Tai. That's what we're going to build together, live on stage. In the first example, we'll build a simple echo bot, which simply replies whatever I said. There's no AI here. This is really just a UI exercise. And I promise, I'll add some AI magic soon. OK? So we'll start by writing a simple interface in Streamlit, which just takes the prompt and respond with that prompt. And we're going to use a couple of Streamlit functions here, like st.title to create a title in Streamlit, st.write to write markdown, and two brand new functions, st.chat message that gives us some chat messages, and chat input gives us a place for us to chat. And we'll save the chat history using a concept called session state. OK, now enough talking. Let's code this up. Cool. So this is a live demo, by the way, and it's hosted in the Snow site. And here we are looking at a very simple Streamlit app in Snow site. It only does one thing now, which is writing a string, Hello Summit 2023. And let's start by creating a chat interface. OK? So what I'm going to do here is just do prompt.sd.chat input. And I'm going to run this app. OK, boom, you got a chat input. And next, I want to program when there is a chat input, I'm going to write it back to the screen. OK, so that works. You see the hello in the right-hand side? So nothing fancy yet, right? So now let's turn this into a chat message. So we're going to use this new, newly released API called chat message. And I'm going to code my role as a user and just do a write. And since we're creating a chat, an echo bot here, I'm going to write it twice. One from system, one from the user. So let's try this out. Great. And I want to change the avatar to myself. As simple as that. OK, so next question you may ask is, how can we maintain multiple chat messages in a conversation? Well, we need a message history. The way to do that is using a concept called session state. So here you can see I have a role assistant and a content as how can I help. And then I'm going to put my message when there is a prompt, two messages. And I'm going to do a for loop to display them. And replace the prompt to the content of my message. And if the message row is the assistant, I do the same thing. Awesome. OK, now let's see if this works. Great. Now see the chat history right here. All right. So obviously, this does not do anything except echoing what we typed. All right. But more importantly, we introduced a number of Streamlit concepts, notably chat message and chat input. And we did it all in Snow site. Amazing, right? Now it's time to plug in an LLM. so that we can have a basic conversation. Conceptually, pretty simple. We start with the user's prompt and run it through the LLM and get response back. In the following demo, we're going to use a new feature called external access to call the LLM. Now, let's jump into the demo. OK, so the only line of code I'm going to add here is between line 12 and 13. And I'll just do response equals call LLM, OpenAI, and pass in my session state messages. So now that we have the response, we can replace our content, echo content, from the LLM. And we change this to conversational bot. And let's see what it gives us. First message, I'm going to let it do a super brief introduction to welcome everyone here. Oops, typo. You can see it's a real demo here. All right, welcome to Snowflake Summit, where winter's beauty has no limit. I'm your guide, a digital assistant, True, ready to make your experience special just for you. So we created, lo and behold, we created a ChatGPT-like interface in 19 lines of code. Isn't that amazing? That's the power of Snowflake. OK, in this section, we introduced an LLM into the prompt flow and a new technology called external access. This is super cool, because it demonstrates that this entire pipeline is programmable. Next, we're going to take this programmability further. Remember, our business users had a specific set of queries, like which companies that most frequently mention fraud detection in our job listings. And turns out, we have a perfect data set for that. CyberSense job listings data, which contains more than 250 million entries of job listings all over the world. We start with user's prompt. Then we modify the prompt so that the LLM does what we want. This is called prompt engineering. And here is an example of what it looks like. Look at this huge blurb of text. This is a new programming language with LLM. The user's original prompt will get injected into a bigger prompt. And note, we're also telling the LLM about the table schema. This example is hard-coded, as you can see. But of course, you can also do this programmatically as well. Note also the natural language rules we're giving to the LLM, including the directive to use SQL Markdown for the output. We send the modified prompt to the LLM. Then it will generate some SQL code for us, and we execute that SQL code and show user the response. In the next demo, we'll see how LLMs can be prompt engineered so that it can write SQL. We'll also show you how to establish a connection to Snowflake's SQL execution engine via experimental connection. OK, now back to our chatbot. Let me clean up this interface so that we have a fresh start. OK, so first I'm going to do some prompt engineering, as I showed you earlier, like this. This big gen SQL is basically the bigger prompt we saw earlier. OK, and now we have a new thing. Let's see what happens if we ask it, like, show me a job listing. Great. It outputs a SQL query. Now, next step is to run it, right? We don't want to only stare at it. So to run it, let's first extract our SQL code from the response by using a regex match. And then let's establish a connection using experimental connection. It's still in beta mode, so but soon you will see the sd.connection version very soon. And then we can send the query to the Snowflake by doing con.query SQL. And then let's add our results back to our message, so we can display that later. And as the very last step, I'll be using a with statement here. This is kind of special, right? What it does is basically it creates a container, and it allows you to write anything inside your container too. So I'm going to write the data frame back to the screen, and let's try this out. So I'm going to show me a job listing again. See what it gives us? Nice. Now we not only get the SQL code, we also get the data back. Quite simple, isn't it? OK. Basically, it is your text-to-SQL chatbot now. And you can grab this URL, oops, like this, and share with your stakeholders in Snowflake. All right. So let's briefly revisit two concepts here. Prompt engineer LLM to write SQL code for us, and then execute it via experimental connection query. So we've gone through some very basic concepts. Now I'm going to show you an app that puts all these things together, plus an important prompt engineering technique called chain of thoughts. OK. So now you can see like a recording, because I don't have enough time to show you in a live demo. Chain of thoughts enables our chatbot to do some SQL execution, data visualization, data analysis, or other tasks automatically. Another term you might hear recently is called LLM as an agent. So here it goes. I'm asking it which US states have the most job listing with description related to fraud detection, and show me the state on the map. Now it's starting to think. And we can live stream its thoughts in real time with a native Streamlit component. So what the agent is going to do at high level is making a series of decisions. The first decision it's making is a SQL table search. Once it's find a located table to use, it will start executing the SQL code and hopefully get some data back. Now you can see it gets some data back, and it will do some analysis, make sure it's good to go. And it's going to self-direct itself to make the next action, which is to generate a blurb of Python code for visualization. It's taking some time. So once it finishes, the last step it will do is to execute it. So the visualization can be displayed to us as a user. Now you can see your SQL execution, data visualization. You no longer need to code Python and SQL again. You just ask it. The future is here, everyone. Think about the possibilities. And the best part is that this is a conversation like talking to coworkers. And you can refine the answers over and over. You can build it right now in Snowflake. Need some applause. All right. In this talk, we showed you how to leverage AI to empower your coworkers by combining technologies already inside Snowflake or coming soon. This is your chatbot running your data, tailored to your needs and taking advantage of your knowledge. And we see a world where we can use custom AI-powered apps yourself using a simple, elegant set of programming primitives curated by Snowflake. Now, the technologies I showed you here are hot off the presses, but it's all landing to Snowflake according to the timeline you see here. And thank you, everyone.